couple of girls talk about this and that, get familiar with blue and the charm ones too. Charm Chats. Hi.
Welcome to Charm Chats
With Kendra.
and Kat. I think that's the first time I've ever started the podcast.
I think it technically is.
Yeah. I'm okay with it.
It's been a while since we started a podcast too.
Yeah. We have been on a Charm Chats recording hiatus for a little bit. But we're back to it now, and I promise that I will eventually get all the pictures on the website. It will happen, hopefully, before the season is over. Hopefully. But, you know, it's harder than you think.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder than you think. Hello, Sump Pump.
We have missed you.
Yeah.
And we're happy that you are currently doing your job.
Indeed.
Yeah, basement flooded a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right before I was going on vacation.
Yeah. It's not fun.
No, it wasn't. 3 inches of not fun all across the basement.
Yeah.
I went down in bare feet because I needed to get my suitcase out from down here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, everything in it was in space bags, except for one pair of pants that I didn't end up taking.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, usual disclaimers of I apologize if you can hear any sounds of people walking or dogs barking or anything like that.
You shouldn't hear much of dogs barking.
Well, the neighbor dogs.
Yeah.
You know,
Currently, my
stop
roommate's
them.
dogs are off at their grandparents' house.
Yes.
The cat is still upstairs.
But the cat doesn't make any noise. So
This
we're
is
okay with
true, and she isn't coming out from under the bed without being coaxed, because I don't think she realizes the dogs are gone.
it. Yeah, and they will be for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of cool. But
we will not apologize for the noises that Blue makes.
Yes, no, we never do.
He's
love
currently
Blue.
got his chin in Cat's elbow.
Yes, and it's the cutest thing ever.
It is so cute.
Yes.
He is so sleepy.
Yes. And we're going to just be talking over the sump pump. We're not going to try to talk around it at all because
It's raining.
It's raining outside, and therefore it's going to continually go off. And, you know, editing this podcast already takes a long time. And so trying to edit around the sump pump sounds is just not worth it to me. So we're just going to talk over it and not really care. Because nobody has complained about it, and if they do, I just ignore it. So it'd be fine.
This is true.
So we are up to episode 208.
Indeed. P3H2O.
Yep. Which aired on December 9th, 1999. This is our last episode of 1999.
I can't quite explain why, but I have a rather visceral dislike for the title of this episode.
Yes.
It could be nothing more than the fact that there is a show called H2O that's about, like, Australian mermaids that I've watched and I kind of like. It's interesting.
I know that
It's a bit
Rob
teenagery.
Zombie, well,
Yeah.
I know the second Rob Zombie Halloween movie was H2O.
Was it?
I believe it was the
I don't
second
think
Rob
it
Zombie
was.
version.
I don't think it was.
I'm
but
fairly
I could
certain
be
it
wrong.
was.
Here, we Google.
We're gonna quick do a Google. I will edit out the silences. Oh, no, I was wrong. Halloween H2O was the 20 years later Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis in 1998.
Oh my god. Look at that makeup
Yeah.
on those people.
Yeah. So
That's very Scream.
yeah. So here, I'll put a link to that on the website so you can see the crazy that we are seeing for Halloween H2O. I just knew there was a Halloween H2O movie because I remember seeing the cover of it at the video store.
See, now, is that an O or a 0?
It doesn't matter
That's fair.
because this is H20
Well, why'd you type it like that?
because that's what it is.
But it's an O. That's how chemicals work. It's a letter.
This is how it was written. This is how I left it.
Well, darling, you gotta fix that shit.
I added this bit and I added this bit. This I didn't add. This was just as
fix
it was.
it. It shouldn't be a 0.
Fine. There you go.
There we go. That makes me
right.
feel better.
Okay. Very happy that you feel better.
Because otherwise, it's just 20 hydrogen atoms all bonded to each other, and that's nuts.
Anyway.
You have your idiosyncrasies. I have mine.
Yes.
Mine
yours-
include proper chemical notation of elements, such as water.
Yes, and that is the premise of this episode. The theme in this episode is water.
Yes.
And so, yeah. Anyway, So you want to just get right into it?
Mm-hmm.
Starting out early?
Is this early for us? I don't think so. It's about on time.
Well, I don't know. So we start out with a body of water shot that pans over to show a building in the background and a pier at the edge of the water, which apparently the entire rest of the episode, I don't call it a pier, I call it a dock, but whatever.
Well, there is a boat dock to it, so.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, so for most of the episode, I okay, Blue.
Yes, for most of the episode, you snort.
Yes. Most of the episode, I call it a dock, so whatever. We see also the sign for Camp Skylark and a banner saying, "Welcome campers," and then we see a basketball hoop in the background. As you do. I never went to camp.
I've been to camp a lot.
So,
I've been to several incarnations of Girl Scout camp.
I was never a Girl Scout either.
And I've been to music camp. In fact, I've been to the band camp that inspired American Pie.
Oh my.
Or at least was part of the inspiration, I guess. Because I guess the people who wrote it had been there.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty then.
But yeah, this camp honestly tracks more like the Girl Scout camps.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I've seen tons of those Disney movies or whatever involving summer camps. Including that one with Christopher Lloyd where he was conning parents into thinking it was a camp to improve their children.
Was it Camp Nowhere?
Yes.
I love that movie so much. I know, right? So much. And I think I actually will talk about that in this episode.
Oh, really? Oh, did I do a psychic thing again?
You might have. Yeah, because we will talk about things. We will mention that later, yes. I know for a fact
that I
mentioned
watched
later.
at Y Camp, as in YMCA, which was a day camp because it was like 6 blocks from my house. We watched that and The Sandlot.
Ah, yes, The Sandlot.
Which is where I got my love of Mastiffs.
But yeah, no, Camp Nowhere was my first introduction to... Or, well, technically it was my second introduction to Andrew Keegan. And I loved Andrew Keegan so much.
Which one was he? Was he the fat kid?
No.
Because I vividly remember the fat kid, and then his dad comes, and they pretend he's at, military camp, and he gets, stuck in a hole. Yeah. And there's something with peanut butter sandwiches and worms.
Yeah, I don't...
Oh, that guy!
Yeah, Andrew Keegan.
Oh, right, he was in the pilot of Buffy, wasn't he? Was he? No. Oh, I'm thinking of someone else.
No, you're thinking of somebody
he
else,
was in 10 Things I Hate About You.
He was indeed in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Fuck.
Yeah, he was in 10 Things I Hate About You. But yeah, I had such a crush on Andrew Keegan. I was the kind of kid who had the pictures on the wall,
Yeah.
And his picture was on the wall, all over. I don't think I had more pictures of anyone else on my wall. Anyway, we have digressed a little.
Don't we always? You
do.
said you didn't do much Wikipediaing.
I did, but we haven't even gotten to where I started Wikipediaing.
I know, so it's only natural that we go off on tangents to make up for the normal space that would be used on your wiki tangents.
Yeah, very true.
That's how that works.
Hey,
that's the whole... The amount of work you have will always fill the amount of time you have to do it. No matter how little work there is or how much time you have.
True, yeah. But, you mentioned Camp Nowhere, and that kind of led us down to a tangent that I would have gotten to later. Yeah. So, I'll just tangent less later, and it'll be fine. Anyway, back to the show for now. Because we'll come back to tangenting on that at some point, I'm sure. So, we pan down from the Camp Skylark sign to see Prue leaning against what looks to be Piper's SUV.
In fact, it is. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. She's wearing a red, high-cut halter top with some red beaded bracelets and a watch, along with that little diamond necklace. We don't see her legs at this time. So.
Though we assume that they are there.
Yes.
Because they usually are.
Yeah.
And, expectation is built on experience.
Yes. And then we get a quick shot of the water, and then we go into flashback. And
Speaking of experience.
Yeah, we know that it's a flashback because it's in black and white. We hear sirens, we see police cars and an ambulance, and we pan over to see Patty, played by Finola Hughes.
Once again.
Yep. Lying on the dock in a body bag with 3 people kneeling down next to her.
But she's only half in the body bag.
Yes.
She's only half in the bag.
Yes. We hear someone say that this is the third drowning this year, and then as they're zipping up the body bag, we're told that one of the girls is around and they're trying to shoo her away.
And then we see little Prue, again played by little Emily Thompson from That 70s episode.
Yep.
Standing on the dock. She hasn't aged a day, even though she's a very young child and they age quick.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Or maybe they just got her hair cut in the exact same way, so it didn't look like she'd aged. Possibly. Which, granted, she would have been about 2 years older.
Hey, you know...
Whatever.
So she is wearing a shirt with little tiny flowers all over it, but we don't know what color it's in because, you know, black and white flashback.
Assume 70s palette.
Yeah, probably like reds or something.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more about Emily or Finola, go back to our episode 117 podcast because that's when I mentioned them the first time, so I'm not going to tangent on them again.
Good.
Yes. So in our flashback, a guy runs up to little Prue, picks her up, and carries her off the dock. And he says he's going to take her back inside, but then he puts her down on the dock, just past the dock, on the grass. And she keeps yelling for mommy the whole time. And then the flashback finishes. So he says he's going to take her back inside and then just doesn't.
Well, you know, adults are always breaking their promises to kids.
Yeah. As our flashback finishes, we come back to see... Oh, thank you, Blue.
Yes, we come back to Snorts.
Yeah, we come back to see tears running down Prue's face. And we get another quick shot of the water before coming back to her just as her phone rings. She answers it, and it's Piper back at the manor. Piper is wearing brown pants, a white shirt, and she's pulling on a black sweater. And she's also in a bedroom that we haven't seen in this angle before. I'm assuming it's her room. There's a little small TV in the background, as well as a stereo system on the dresser. It was an interesting scene, because we had not seen a bedroom from that vantage point before. It was like we're looking through the doorway.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember when, in the pilot, Phoebe came home, there was a little TV she was watching in a bedroom. But I assumed that was her room.
Yeah. Don't know. Piper asks if Prue is still on the road, and Prue lies and says she's still on the road because traffic's insane.
Traffic that no one can hear, because guess what? She's nowhere near it.
Yeah. Piper was worried that something had happened to Prue, and I was right about it being Piper's car. And then we hear, a beep on the phone that signals call waiting. Now, I'm not going to tangent on it, but if you don't know what call waiting is, I will put a link to the wiki on the website. Mm-hmm. It's not that big a deal. Your phone clicks, and you have another call at the same time. It's really not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Piper says that Dan is probably the one calling, and Prue jokes that they should just get walkie-talkies or two cans in a string. Two strings in a can. Hey, you know.
No, that's for when someone wants to listen in. They just clip the string and then they attach it to two ends of the bottom of a can, and then they can just stick their ear up in it, and that's an intercepted call.
Interesting.
Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think that works, but all right.
I think it could work.
Possibly.
Because if it's transferring the motion through the can itself, then it would still transfer it to the string. It might be a little bit softer. Mm-hmm. And then it would still, transfer it through the can, so you might be able to
did you ever do the can string thing? Because I never did.
No,
I did the walkie-talkie
I did not
thing.
have friends who lived that close.
Yeah, I did the walkie-talkie thing. But I never did the
walkie-talkie thing. I was never allowed to have a walkie-talkie.
Oh, that's sad. Anyway, they say their goodbyes and Prue hangs up. Thank you, Blue. And
that's Blue making the impression of the phone as they hang up.
She starts walking toward the dock, and we can now see that her halter top is a bit of a crop top.
Because of course it is.
Uh-huh. And wearing jeans. Because
kind of mom jeans.
Yeah, they were a little...
They're nice high-waisted.
Yeah.
And they're straight leg.
Yeah.
And she's got, boots.
Yeah. And we can see that the top has pronounced darting on the bust.
Because how else are you going to let them know that she's got boobs?
Yeah. It was pronounced darting. And there is a small continuity thing. The little diamond necklace that she wears was visible during the close-up shot while she was on the phone, but when they switched to the farther away shot, it looks like it's missing. And then we get another close-up shot, and we can see that it's just hiding underneath her shirt.
I decay.
You decay?
I decay.
Why do you decay?
I don't know. Well, everyone decays. We are all slowly decaying. Granted, I am just beginning my slow, inevitable demise, and you've been on yours for a few years now.
Yeah.
He's on his.
You're not allowed to decay. No, you can't go anywhere.
No, we are not talking about that. That does not end well for me.
No, that does not end well for me either. No.
Okay, let's back episode.
Yes, let's forget all about the sadness of that. No.
Shut up about it already.
Okay. So, Prue makes her way down the dock, and we get a POV shot of the water that makes it a little ominous looking.
Yeah, because whoever was directing this episode just couldn't fucking resist.
Mm-hmm. And then they give us an interesting shot that starts out on her feet and pans up to her body, and then, like, pulls back to show her whole body, and then pulls back further to show the entire, like, pier dock thing, and then turns to show off, like, the entire dock and the boat next to it, and then we jump back to a single shot of her again. It was like someone decided they had a crane, they better use it.
Probably.
You know, like, yeah. And there's, like, this weird owl statue thing on the side of the dock.
Oh,
like,
I used to have one of those.
But, like, what is the point of it?
I think it's to scare off crows or something.
That makes no sense
or,
at
like,
all.
bunny. I don't know. I think it's a thing to scare off other animals that are not owls.
Yeah, it's weird.
Or possibly to scare off owls. I don't know.
So, then we hear all sorts of overlapping sounds while this shot is happening, and when we land back on her face, all of the sounds stop. So it was a very interesting, like, thematic moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, she stands on the dock, and she sees a guy standing in a canoe.
So, red flag number 6?
Yeah, I don't know. And he looks to be dressed like a park ranger.
Yeah.
Like, he had, like, the hat and everything, whatever. And then the water starts bubbling up next to him. And he freaks out, and the water comes up at him, and the canoe tips over, and then he falls out of the canoe. And Prue runs back up the dock toward the road, and, like, starts running along the road at the edge of the water. And the guy is screaming for help, but he's trying to get out of the water, but he can't. And then another guy runs up to Prue from the camp direction. He's wearing jeans, a red shirt, and a brown overshirt.
Oh, no, a red shirt. Oh, wait, wrong show. Sorry.
Wrong show. He stops her from running, saying that it's too late, and we get a shot of the water going still, and the yelling has stopped.
Presumably, dude's drowned.
Mm-hmm. And then red shirt dude says, it's already taken him, but we don't know what it is.
And we're pretty sure at this point it's not a euphemism for sex.
At least not in this context. Yeah.
Maybe some real kinky sex.
Yeah.
That's tentacle porn, baby.
Yeah. No, we're not having a tentacle party. Let's continue. Prue tells this dude to call 911, and then we hear the sound of footsteps running away. And then we get a quick shot of where the man used to be, but is no longer. Because, you know, That's how that works. And so, since we don't know who he is yet, I will wait to tangent about him. And we get a quick few, back and forth shots between Prue and the canoe in the water, and then we fade into the opening credits.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see, thanks to the opening credits, that there is no Daryl this episode.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. The post-credits song on the DVD, thanks to Soundhound, #not-sponsored, was Angels Would Fly by Melissa Etheridge. So now I shall tangent about her.
As you do.
Indeed.
As specifically you do. This is not a general you.
Correct. This is not the royal we, this is the me. Alright. Melissa Lou Etheridge was born May 29th, 1961, in Leavenworth, Kansas. She is an American rock singer and songwriter. She's a guitarist and an activist. Her self-titled debut album was released in 1988 and became an underground hit. That album peaked at number 22 on the Billboard 200, and its lead single, Bring Me Some Water, got her first Grammy Award nomination for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance. In 1993, she won her first Grammy Award for her single Ain't It Heavy from her third album, Never Enough. And later that year, she released what would become her mainstream breakthrough album, Yes I Am, which was one of my favorite albums. I loved it. The album featured 3 top 40 hits, including I'm the Only One, that went to number 8, Come to My Window, which went to number 25, which was one of my favorite songs, and that scored her second Grammy Award. Yes I Am peaked at number 15 on the Billboard 200, and spent 138 weeks on the chart, earning an RIAA certification of 6 times platinum.
Nice.
Yeah. She came out publicly as a lesbian in January of 1993 at the Triangle Ball, which is a gay celebration of President Clinton's first inauguration. Gotta love it. She supported Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign, and since her coming out has been famous as a gay rights activist. In 2004, in October, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent surgery and chemotherapy. And at the 2005 Grammy Awards, she made a return to the stage and, although bald from said chemotherapy, performed a tribute to Janis Joplin with the song Piece of My Heart. Her performance was widely applauded, and India Arie wrote a song, I Am Not My Hair, about her. It is one of my absolute favorite songs. I will put a link to the YouTube video for the song on the website. I apologize because it only goes up to 480p, but it's an old song. It literally is one of my favorite songs ever, and I wish it had been around when I was going through chemo in 1998, but, it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
There's that. In September 2011, Melissa Etheridge received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh.
Yeah. There is so much more that I could say about her, but I think I've tangented enough for now. Link to her wiki on the website, as per usual, of course. So the post-credit song on Netflix, thanks to Shazam, hashtag not sponsored, was Let There Be Love by Orbit Monkey. Yeah. They're an alt-rock band from California, and apparently the lead singer and guitarist is a guy named Jorg Koring. I honestly don't know if I'm saying that right.
I think that's about
I'm
correct.
fairly certain.
I mean, he may have a different preference, but based on the spelling, I think that's pretty close.
It's Joerg as a first name, and the last name is Kohring. So, however you pronounce that. He was a touring guitarist for the band Lifehouse.
I remember them.
Yeah, I loved Lifehouse. But, other than that, nothing really struck me as very interesting about this band. Though this song that is played on the Netflix was also licensed for the soap opera The Young and the Restless.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was a nice sounding song. I'll put a link to their Facebook page on the website because that was really all I could find about them was their Facebook. So, there you go. Orbit Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, apparently. So, back to the show, we get a shot of the Golden Gate Bridge in the background of some bushes, and then a close-up shot of the Golden Gate Bridge, and then a third shot of the Golden Gate Bridge with the city behind it that pushes in. And then we get a small glimpse of the Triangle Building there, before we end with a shot that pans down on the manor. And we can see the weather vane on the roof, which I think I've talked about before, but of course I'll put a link to the wiki page for that on the website just to be thorough. Because I'm me.
Yeah.
Inside, Piper walks out of the bedroom on the phone. She says nothing. She's just smiling and giggling a lot.
And we are treated to one of the most cutesy sequences that has yet occurred in this show.
Yes. She runs down the stairs and into the kitchen, and Phoebe is there reading the paper. She is wearing a blue shirt that looks ever so slightly tie-dye, and there's a choker necklace that she's got on with like little blue stones on it. Piper sits down at the table and starts pouring organic toasted Oat-O's cereal.
This is San Francisco.
Yeah, into a bowl. She says that she's pouring, and then we cut over to Dan, who is apparently at his house, eating something brightly colored, probably Fruit Loops, who says that he's chewing. Then we cut back to Piper, who says that she can't believe he can eat that stuff, and I have to say I disagree. Fruit Loops are delicious.
I don't like Fruit Loops.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Fruit Loops.
Like, I got a little disappointed because I got a Star Wars cereal that had marshmallows in it, and I assumed the cereal portion would be, like your standard Lucky Charms cereal portion, just basic oat.
Yeah.
It was Fruit Loop. It was, like, not colored either. So it just tasted like Fruit Loops, and then there was marshmallow, and I'm just like...
See, that's a little much.
As someone, like, my brother was a fan of Fruit Loops, I was not, so we never had to worry about me stealing his, and he also didn't like Cheerios, which I've always loved. So.
Yeah, well.
Mm-hmm. The closest thing I've enjoyed to Fruit Loops is not cereal, it's a plant that was at camp, and we just called them sassafras leaves. I don't know what they actually were, but they were these trees that you could pluck a leaf off and chew on the stem, and it tasted a little bit like Fruit Loops.
Interesting.
We knew they weren't toxic because no one died.
Well, that's always good.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, with plants, usually when things taste really, really bitter, chances are it's badder for you than if it tastes good.
Yeah, I guess. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Anyway, if anyone doesn't know the fun that is Toucan Sam and Fruit Loops...
I do love Toucan Sam.
I will leave a link to the wiki on the website. I don't really feel like tangenting about it, but it is Fruit Loops. F-R-O-O-T.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I could go on about that for a very long time. Children's cereal should be spelled properly. But, you know, like I said, don't feel like tangenting about it.
Well, they make up words, too, and, like, should there be a standardized spelling of chocula? I don't know that there should be.
You know, like I said, I have a problem with a lot of kids' cereal that spell things funny. Like Kix should not be Kix. I'm sorry, it just shouldn't.
I think they were trying to avoid confusion with it being shoes.
Possibly, but...
Like, from a marketing standpoint, I can see that happening.
I guess, but I don't know. I have this issue with things being for children being spelled wrong. It just annoys me.
I mean, when it's something like a cereal where it's supposed to evoke a specific thing, I get why they make it spelled weird, because they're trying to brand it, and they're trying to get it to be, oh, well, if you spell it this way, it's a specific connotation of this one thing.
I guess. I don't know.
And if they use just basic words, then it could also mean something else. And, you know, maybe people don't think of Kix when they're also thinking about shoes or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's a marketing thing. That's not necessarily a, hey, we want to deceive children about the way this word is spelled because, hello, it's a cereal.
I guess so.
And then it becomes the name for the cereal. Just like, you know, Weetabix or Cheerios.
I guess so. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Anyway, back to the show. Exactly, Blue. Phoebe says that they are killing her with cuteness.
Yeah.
And Piper asks if she has somewhere very far away to be, to which we have the cutest sister moment. Phoebe then moves her chair closer and puts her arm around Piper's shoulder. Like, nope, I can be right here forever. It was adorable. Dan asks Piper to have breakfast for real, just as Prue walks in. She has added a long black sweater to her outfit, and I think I actually have one almost exactly like it.
Cool.
I think I might have worn that before here. I don't know.
I can't recall it, but...
Yeah, maybe not. I know I've worn it this winter, but I don't know if I've worn it here. It doesn't matter. Phoebe asks why she's home, because she was supposedly supposed to go to the office, and she says that things changed.
As things so often do.
Yes. Piper gets off the phone with Dan, and Prue tells her sisters about the man that she saw drown at the lake where their mom was killed. And then we learn, along with Piper and Phoebe, that Prue sometimes goes there to think. And as they walk past the dining room and up the stairs, we see that Phoebe is wearing brown pants and has a piece of striped fabric that looks kind of like a wrap skirt around her pants. And then there's like this glittery gold bag purse thing, like on top of said striped fabric. Mm-hmm. It was very funny because it made me remember the days when I used to wear my purse around my waist like that. Mm-hmm. Like I used to have this little bag, and when I couldn't get it to go over like my shoulder, like a messenger bag style, I'd literally just pull it so it would, like, I'd hang it around my hips. Mm. Like I'd do that if I was like at a concert or something like that. Because like if it's messenger bag style, like, you can't necessarily always feel if someone's trying to steal your stuff. Because it's hanging off your side. Yeah. Whatever. But if it's between your legs, there's a very real chance that you're going to notice somebody trying to, you know, reach toward your crotch. Yeah. You know, just saying.
And I've seen a type of bag that's like a utility belt, and then there's a pouch on your one leg that also straps to your leg. So it's like a belt, but with a pouch. Yeah. Those are cool. Yeah. That seems useful for, like, people who are working at cons or something.
So Prue continues on and tells them about the man who told her that, quote, it's already taken him. They walk into Prue's room, and she says that she needs to drop something off at Buckland's and then head back to the lake. But Phoebe wonders if what she might have seen might have had something to do with their mom's death.
Prue's like, stop living in the past. Worry about the present. Because guess what? They're reopening camp.
Yeah, and then we get a bit of them being worried about the kids going into the lake, and we learn that someone named Mrs. Johnson is still up there. And then they agree to meet up at the camp in an hour. Prue leaves, leaving Piper and Phoebe in her room. And they both think that the thing in the lake has something to do with their mom's death. And then we cut to an exterior shot of the Buckland sign. We get to see umbrella briefcase guy walk by. And then we cut to Prue walking into her office with people wheeling in a carousel horse behind her.
A very pretty carousel horse.
It was quite nice. We see Jack sitting at her desk going through the things on her desk. He is wearing a dark bluish shirt a deep brown suit jacket, and a tie with a diamond pattern. We do not see his lower half at this time.
But again, we assume it is there.
We do assume that it is there.
Because experience is the best indicator of future events.
Uh-huh. Prue asks why he's there.
And he tells her he's pondering the possibilities of redecoration.
Yeah. So we learn that he's taken a job at Buckland's and that he was told to use her office until his is ready. She questions why he's working there, and he says that because they couldn't date and work together, and she won't date him, so, one of the two will have to do.
Ugh.
Yeah. He then puts his feet up on her desk, and we see that he is wearing tight red and black shorts and sandals. They look a little bit like board shorts.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
She points out this questionable choice of work attire, and he says something that we've all been thinking for the past year, that if she can get away with wearing her outfit, he can wear his.
Yeah.
Perfectly valid point. Until someone from HR cracks down on Prue's attire, no one should talk to Jack about his.
Yes.
They should have Jack to say about Jack's.
Yes. And Prue's attire in this particular instance isn't nearly as bad as it will be next week.
No.
Next
at all.
episode, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah. Next episode, her work attire is not appropriate. But we'll talk about that next time.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make us like him any better, but he's got a point.
Yes, I do agree with him in this moment. He goes on to say that she looks wow. Yeah, he does this little growl thing. It's weird.
It reminded me of Hannah.
Yeah, a little bit. And then she says that flattery will get him nowhere, and he says that it got him the job.
I wouldn't call that flattery.
Well, he was trying to be flattering.
I'd call that borderline catcalling.
Well,
Because you can just say, wow. You look wow. Not wow.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's literal catcalling.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, she says that she's got to take care of some personal things and then tells him not to touch anything while she's gone. And he says he'll just sit back and make himself comfy, and then he leans back in the chair and falls backwards onto the floor because those chairs are not meant to lean that way.
Mm-hmm. And for once, Prue did not cause that to happen.
Very true.
But
she did not.
She jokes that he had nice form, but the dismount could use a little work.
Uh-huh. And then he pops back up and is like, I meant to do that. Which was hilarious. And then she leaves. And we get a lovely shot of the lake and the dock, and there's also a little lifeguard raft thing in the water. It was interesting. And we get a quick shot of the Camp Skylark sign, and there's a building in the background, which apparently is Mrs. Johnson's place. So inside, we get a shot of the photo that Phoebe is looking at. It's a group of kids all wearing yellow Camp Skylark shirts, and the sign that they're holding says Camp Skylark 1978. Mrs. Johnson walks in wearing a white shirt tucked into greenish pants and a greenish-gray plaid shirt over top. Mrs. Johnson is played by Pat Crowley. She was born in 1933. She's been acting since 1950. She's done a lot of single episodes of stuff, and her first big gig was in the 1965 show Please Don't Eat the Daisies. It was a show based off of a book and a movie, apparently.
Sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't think I've ever...
Never heard of it. Set in Ridgemont, New York, the Nashes are an unusual suburban family. Jim Nash, a college professor, and his lazy wife Joan, a newspaper columnist, live with their 4 rambunctious sons, a tolerant family maid, and a huge sheepdog. That is the summary for...
That is a huge sheepdog. He's so cute.
That is the summary for Please Don't Eat the Daisies.
Fucking adorable.
To which our Pat Crowley played Joan. So there you go. I will put a link to the IMDb for that on the website, because why wouldn't I? Anyway, she then went back to mostly single episodes of stuff. Some of the shows that she was on were Happy Days, Charlie's Angels, Dynasty, the original Beverly Hills 90210, and Thunder Alley. And Thunder Alley is where I first fell in love with Andrew Keegan. So there we go. Mm-hmm. And this is where I was going to bring up Camp Nowhere, but we've already done that.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you have never seen Thunder Alley, it starred Ed Asner, Jim Beaver of Supernatural fame, and a very young Haley Joel Osment. It was only his 6th acting.
H2O.
Yeah. It was only his sixth acting gig.
Can we see a picture of the baby?
I don't know if there is a tiny picture of him. Let's find out.
I just want to see his little...
Oh
my goodness. He's so cute.
Yeah.
He's so fucking tiny.
Yes, he was very, very tiny. It was his sixth acting gig. Of course, all of the links are on the website. I'll even put up a couple of YouTube clips for stuff for Thunder Alley and stuff. It was a cute show. I wish I could find it on DVD because I loved it. Anyway, back to the show. Mrs. Johnson walks in. She's carrying a plate of cookies, saying how she can't believe they're so grown up now. And then she hands the plate of cookies to Piper. Thank you, Blue. Phoebe remarks on little Piper's pigtails and starts laughing, which Piper says isn't fair, which I don't understand, but whatever. Phoebe walks over to Piper, and as she does, we can see that she has a belly button piercing that we haven't seen before in any of her crop tops.
This is a news.
Yeah. She grabs the plate of cookies from Piper, starts eating a cookie, saying that what wasn't fair was that she didn't get to go to camp with them.
Oh, darn.
But if you think about the timing, she would have been like 2.
Yeah.
So, a 2-year-old at camp, not exactly the right thing to do there. Piper mentions that they heard about the camp reopening, and Mrs. Johnson says that it was until there was another drowning, so now she's not so sure. Piper then mentions the man that Prue saw earlier, saying that he was a bit off.
As Prue described him.
Yeah. Meaning the red shirt dude.
And Phoebe's like, no, the word Prue used was crazy.
Yeah. Piper asks if Mrs. Johnson knows who he might be.
And Mrs. Johnson's like, oh, that's got to be Sam, who is apparently not wired together properly.
Yeah.
And he showed up when the drowning started and never left. Gee... Mrs. Johnson.
Yeah. Wouldn't you take that as, I don't know,
well, I mean,
not
I can
a
see,
good sign?
I mean, yeah, that's, I was going to try and spin it in a way that relieves her of the burden, and I can't.
Yeah, no.
There's no way that wouldn't arouse suspicions.
Yeah. But she also mentions that he has no friends and no life, so you have to wonder what he's capable of.
Oh my fucking god, woman, kick him out.
I know, right? But whatever. Piper and Phoebe kind of look at each other, and then we cut to outside where we see Prue pulling up in Piper's car.
So how did Piper and Phoebe get there? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, because we aren't shown that.
And no one in the family can teleport.
So, Prue gets out, and she is now wearing a white cropped tank top that has yellow lace trim and jeans, and she just kind of stares out at the lake. She still has that little diamond necklace on. I think she wears that the entire episode. And then Piper, Phoebe, and Mrs. Johnson come walking toward her. Piper reminds Mrs. Johnson who Prue is, and they hug. And as they break from the hug, Mrs. Johnson says that Prue looks more and more like her mother every day.
And Prue decides to counter this awkwardly by saying, oh, Piper resembles her the most.
Yeah.
And then there's a nice little awkward silence.
Yeah.
And then Phoebe tries to cover for Prue, and she's like, oh, people see a little of her in each of us, which makes sense, because guess what? Y'all, you're related.
Yeah. Very, very
by
true.
blood.
Very, very true. But,
about half of it, in fact.
But, that, like, if somebody said they can see my dad in me, I'd be like, really? Because both me and my brother, we look like my mother. Mm-hmm. Like, we always used to joke, it was like, anyone could be my dad. Like, we don't look like my dad at all.
Yeah, really, teenage photos of my dad are reminiscent of my brother, but other than that, like, no, people mostly get distracted by the red hair. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, you look like your mom, and I'm just like, please don't say that. But, I get it.
Yeah. Hi, Blue. We're just snoring.
But I've never really analyzed facial features to figure it out, and honestly, my dad looks nothing like he did when he was a teenager. Absolutely nothing. If it weren't for the fact that he looked like my brother at that age, I would not be able to recognize him in his yearbook photos.
Interesting.
Especially not once he got that stupid mustache. Which, fortunately, he had to stop having because half of it stopped growing in.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
Fine by me. He looked a little like some pictures of Albert Einstein for a while. Like, if you discounted the white hair, the mustache looked the same.
Interesting. Anyway, back to the show. So Mrs. Johnson notices the awkwardness of the situation, and asks them to visit again, and then they say their goodbye. And as Prue glances over to the water, we get like a quick insert shot of the water being all calm. And then after like a quick cut to Prue as she says bye, we have another shot of the water as it starts to bubble a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then as Mrs. Johnson goes back up to her house, we are treated to a momentary shot from the water. Like POV under the water. Mm-hmm. As Piper tells Prue that she's not opening the camp. And Prue, after realizing that that means that they get to figure out, whatever is hiding in the lake, she asks about the crazy guy. Phoebe tells her his name and starts to point out where he lives when Prue's phone rings. And she answers it, and it's Jack. And he's at the office. He is now wearing a long-sleeve gray button-down shirt. So
they both changed?
Yeah. It was one of those where, like, it was supposed to be the same day, so I don't know why he changed clothes, other than possibly that he was trying to get a rise out of her with the outfit he was wearing earlier, and was like, okay, fine, I'll change into real clothes now, and but I don't know why that means he changed his shirt.
I think that means that her previous outfit was meant to be work appropriate, and this is meant for leisure?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't
know. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, he calls her his favorite auctionette, and she responds by calling him her favorite auction ass.
Yeah, because, they're both childish.
Yeah, and, gotta figure out a way to call him an ass, and hey, that's probably the best way you could think.
Mm-hmm. He tells her that since she's not in the office, he's going to take her lunch with Mr. Fujimoto.
And she is not happy about that, to say the least.
He tells her to relax.
And then hangs up.
And once again, we hear a dial tone on the cell phone, which shouldn't happen, but whatever. And as Prue wonders what his deal is, her sisters wonder what her deal is.
Everyone's deal is being wondered about.
Yes, because apparently every time someone compares her to her mom, she flinches.
Which, I understand that sentiment, but I understand it for a very different reason than Prue does, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Phoebe tells her that it's a compliment, not a curse, but Prue can't help but be terrified that she's becoming her mother, because she can't seem to have a successful relationship with a guy. She's got, responsibilities for a family. And because of, quote, being this charmed thing, unquote, she has the very real possibility of dying young. She says that it's like history repeating itself, and Piper tries to tell her that it's just a coincidence, but of course she can't believe that, because she thinks that she was meant to be there whenever what happened with the lake attack thing happened. Piper then reminds her that she's there every week, so, it's not meant to be when you're there every week.
Yeah.
And Prue says that they just need to find this Sam guy so that they can figure out what he knows about the demon, vanquish it, and get on with their lives. She walks away, and the girls follow, and we see that Sam has been watching them from behind a tree. So, not creepy at all.
At a distance and lack of cover that would have been oh so fucking obvious.
Yes, but
they
weren't
there,
paying attention.
A la convenience.
Indeed. So, since he's creeping, I might as well tell you about him before we go to the next scene.
Indeed.
So, Sam is played by Scott Jack? I honestly don't know how to say his last name.
I think it's probably Jack.
Yeah,
but there's like an E in between the A and the C.
Yeah, it's Jaeck. So I don't know how to say that, but there you go. He was born in 1954 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is the same year and city that my mother was born in.
Aw, they're buds.
Yeah. They've never met, I'm sure. His first acting gig was in 1984, and his last was in 2014. He was mostly in single episodes of stuff until 1987, when he landed a gig on the soap opera Santa Barbara. He had 230 episodes in 1 year. Then he was back to single episodes of stuff, and he got a few episodes on the original Beverly Hills 90210, and then back to single episodes of stuff. He did have a 12-episode run on ER around the same time that he got this gig on Charmed.
Solid. That's a decent acting career.
Indeed. So, back to the show. At the entrance of the camp a little later on, we see Mrs. Johnson taking down the Welcome Campers sign. She's folding it up, and then she hears a boat hitting the dock. So, while still holding the sign, she walks to the dock and over to the boat, and she notices that it's not tied up, so she kneels down to tie it up one-handed because she's still holding the sign. We then get a POV from the water just before it starts bubbling, which, startles her for a second. She kind of lets out a little gasp. And then she stands up to walk away as the water gets more aggressive. It sprays up at her.
She screams. And then a man jumps out of the water and grabs her and, like, pulls her in.
Yeah, she's screaming, pulls her into the water, and she's still holding the damn sign.
Yep.
We see the water bubble for just a moment more before it goes calm, and then we end on a shot of the welcome camper sign floating face up in the water.
That's why she was holding the sign.
Perfectly, like, laid out.
Effect.
There is literally no reason that it should have come up and laid out perfectly like that, though. Like, no reason at all.
Hey, they're doing it for the aesthetic.
Yes. It is all about the aesthetic. So then we cut over to Sam's place. The girls enter through a big red sliding barn door.
Phoebe calls out for Sam and then says, "Be very, very quiet. We're hunting demons."
Yeah, this is a reference to numerous Bugs Bunny cartoons in which Elmer Fudd says, "Be very, very quiet. We're hunting wabbits." Yeah.
And if you've never watched any Bugs Bunny cartoons, I recommend you watch the one where he's, like, doing opera bits.
Yes.
It's my fave.
Yes.
I don't know which episode that is, but I love it. And if you just Google Bugs Bunny and Barber of Seville, you'll probably find it.
So I'll put links to wikis and such for the Bugs Bunny Elmer Fudd stuff. So then we get a lovely shot of his place, which includes things like a beaded curtain in the middle of the room for some random reason.
Well, he's rather connected to the 70s, as we'll find out.
And there's some random newspapers and a bunch of books and an old TV and a bunch of, like, workshop type stuff. And Prue, a la convenience, decides to look through some old newspapers and stumbles upon a picture of their mother, who looks to be possibly mid-laugh or something. Yeah. She seems very happy in this photograph. They all wonder who this guy is and why he has this picture, and then Prue goes back to looking at the newspapers that she found the picture in. And they all seem to be from the San Francisco Herald, which is apparently published daily and costs $0.25.
Yeah.
And the headline that we see on the first one says, "Drowning at Camp Skylark." And the next one says, "Camp Skylark Curse?" ? And the third one says, "Another camp drowning at lake." And looking closer at the articles, the third one that we are shown says that the drowning was the second of the year, so they may not be in chronological order. But...
they're definitely not, just based on the titles. Because the first one is like, "Hey, this is news." The second one they show is like, "Much escalated." And then the third one is just like, "Oh, darn it, another one."
Yeah.
Which is de-escalated, and I don't think newspapers would do that.
Not so much. But whoever did these props did a very good job of making them actually read like a newspaper article. Like, it wasn't just the same paragraph over and over again, which was quite nice. So... then Prue, after only flipping through a few newspapers, says that he has articles on every single drowning at the lake. Piper, who has been looking at stuff on the desk, a la convenience, finds a certificate by pulling it out of a file folder that's sitting on top of a microwave. She didn't open the file folder, mind you. She just pulled the certificate out of it.
And the certificate says, "New York Teacher of the Year, Sam Wilder," spelled with a Y instead of an I.
Indeed.
And it's supposedly from 1872.
Though it looks like it was printed on an inkjet. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in super good shape for an old piece of paper.
Yeah, but whatever. Phoebe then does the math, saying that he'd be 127 years old, and Piper's like, "Or a demon."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although why a demon would stoop to teaching, I don't know.
True. Prue, of course, doesn't believe that a demon would be named Sam, which I think is the funniest thing.
Also a good point.
Yeah, and she tries to be the voice of reason, saying that it might be his grandfather's certificate because he did, after all, save her. Yeah. Piper then opens a random drawer in a filing cabinet and, a la convenience, finds some letters. So, we're shown a little bit of what the letters say, and it's definitely some sort of... Thank you, Blue. Some sort of love letter from Patty to someone. We're assuming Sam because it's in Sam's drawer.
Yeah.
You know. Just as Piper starts to tell the girls about the letters, Leo orbs in, scaring her, which I thought was kind of funny. He is wearing a blue shirt under a black and gray gingham shirt. It wasn't plaid, it was gingham.
And he's got a great sense of urgency about him. He's like, "Dude, leave. Sam could be back at any minute."
Yeah, but Prue, ever the stubborn one, says they're not leaving until Leo tells them who Sam is. And Leo says that Sam was their mom's white lighter.
He says it in a bit of a whiny tone, too.
Yeah, a little bit. And then we get shots of each of them looking slightly confused, and we go to commercial break.
Yeah. And we go to the weather. Sorry, wrong podcast.
Wrong podcast. So when we come back from the commercial break, we get a moving shot of the water and then pick up the conversation we left off with. But now they're all outside.
Yep.
It was like...
They took the time to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Then, of course, we get some exposition. We learn that when their mom died, Sam clipped his wings, making him mortal, but that he used to look after Patty until he lost her to the same demon that they're fighting now. Piper gets upset that Leo didn't tell them.
He's like, I couldn't. It would only have distracted you and possibly gotten you killed. It's a bit of a logic leap.
Yeah, well, you know.
I couldn't have told you the writers hadn't invented this yet.
Yeah, there is that. There is that. They start walking as they talk, and we see that Leo is wearing black jeans, and we also see that Prue's jeans are cuffed at the ankle.
Yep.
And she's wearing silver sneakers with no socks.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, casual day.
Or something.
Yeah, hi, Blue. Leo says that he knew that they'd have to face this demon eventually, and that he wanted to make sure that they had clear heads because, quote, emotions will get the best of you if you let them.
Okay, and now here comes to my question, because last year, when they went to the 70s, somehow it was just a known fact that their mother was killed by a demon. When were they told this?
What do you mean?
Okay, so, timeline of events. Mom dies. The powers have been bound once Phoebe's born. Mom dies. Grandma never unbinds the powers. She dies. Powers unbound. Phoebe comes home. They become charmed and all that shit. And up until this point, they had known nothing. They had no memories of having magic. They had no idea about demons, spells, any fucking thing. Mm-hmm. And nothing was written in the book about their mother's death at that point. Now, they have the whole fear demon thing on the 13th episode, I think it was, where their mom had written some stuff, and it was only about the fear demon, so she didn't tell them anything about her own fucking death. And then they go back into the 70s, and Phoebe leaves the note saying, stay away from water or a demon will drown you. How did she get that information? Who gave that information? How would they even fucking know that? Well, it should have been a plot point if it had been learned. Now, they could have avoided this unnecessary sort of weird plot Freudian slip if they had just said, stay away from the water or you will drown.
Yeah.
That's simple enough. So, how would they fucking know?
Well,
And furthermore, if they had not known until this point that Mom was killed by a demon, that could have added to this plot. That could have added to Piper being super fucking pissed at Leo, because he knew they'd have to deal with a demon that killed their mother, and he never told them that a demon killed their mother.
Well, I'm assuming this is... Okay.
Writers, get your shit together!
Okay, well, see, here's my assumption.
She says 25 years too late.
Yes. Here's my assumption. When they got their powers back, Prue got some memories back. Because Prue was there when Mom died.
No, remember? Because they went back to the 70s. They went back... Well, Prue had her powers bound back before Mom died. But when they went back to the 70s, Piper and Prue were super shocked to find out that they had powers at that age. They're like, did you remember that? No, I definitely didn't.
Right.
She remembered their mom dying because, hello, that's a huge event. But the whole everyday of, like, having magic and shit... But I can see that getting buried in your memories because, you know, maybe you thought you were playing pretend. It was kind of innocuous.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not going to bury that. I mean, you could easily bury that under, you know, the fog of memory.
Yeah.
This was a traumatic event for Prue. She saw her mom lying dead on a dock.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't fucking know how they knew.
Yeah.
And why the writers wouldn't think, maybe don't put that in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oy.
I really
There was probably something in the script that was cut and no one went back for continuity and was like, hang on a fucking second. They didn't have a continuity master, after all.
Yeah, well, you know, the fact that in the episode where they go to the future, they're not supposed to be able to find the spell that can bring them back to the past, and yet she flips past it twice.
Yep.
You know,
well, that's
a lot of shit that happens in this show.
Prop master continuity issue. That's like... could have been, like, resolved in the episode. It's just no one was paying attention during dailies.
Well, and even the actors weren't paying attention, because you know that if you're the one looking at it going, we can't find this spell, here it is twice.
There was some ADR involved.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another episode. We've gone through that episode already.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
There's a lot about this show that, as much as we love it, it frustrates us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much.
So much. Anyway, back to the show. Piper and Phoebe are still visibly upset because Sam let their mother die, but Prue realizes that even if the camp doesn't open, that they still have to deal with this demon. Leo tells them to catch up by looking at the Book of Shadows before trying to face the demon, and Phoebe reminds them that it's personal to them, and Piper says that Leo doesn't do personal anymore.
Very cuttingly.
Yeah. And Leo just kind of orbs out to end the conversation.
It's a useful way to cut and run. Cut and orb.
Cut and orb?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of salt and bitterness in the air, like someone ordered margaritas of sadness.
Yes.
Yeah. Phoebe takes this moment to ask Prue why she's acting like none of this talk of their mother's death is fazing her at all. And then they hear Mrs. Johnson screaming for help, so they all go running toward the water. Piper and Phoebe run out onto the dock, like to the end of it, but Prue stops just on the edge.
Yeah.
Like, closer to the owl statue.
Yeah.
Piper takes off her sweater, which I thought was kind of funny, as she and Phoebe try reaching out to Mrs. Johnson, and Phoebe notices that Prue hasn't followed them to the end of the dock and calls out to her.
But of course, Prue is in the midst of another flashback to the day her mother died, Patty getting zipped up into the body bag, and crying up a storm.
Yep.
And it's a weird kind of inference that she's still, like, afraid of the water, even after the whole thing with Barbas the previous year.
Yeah.
But, I get it. Specific moment as opposed to general anxiety. Like,
Indeed.
That is fine.
Indeed. And her flashback breaks as Sam comes running up, screaming at them to get off the dock. And he's now wearing jeans, a dark pink shirt, a brown gingham overshirt, and brownish red sleeveless jacket.
Like kind of a vesty thing.
Yeah, but it was like a longer thing than a vest.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a sleeveless jacket.
Okay.
Yeah. He yells that it's, quote, taken her over, unquote, as Mrs. Johnson goes back under the water, and Phoebe is still standing there with her arms held out toward the water. Sam yells again for them to get off the dock as the water squirts up in the air. Mm-hmm. And then they go running off the dock, and but they don't go down, the pier bit. They just, jump off onto the grass. And then Sam starts rambling about how no one ever listens to him, and that it only kills in the water. And when Prue says that they know who he is, he says that they shouldn't listen to the people in town who call him crazy, because he's not crazy. And Piper says that they know that he worked with their mother, and Phoebe once again mentions that he lost her, and she's kind of pissy about it.
Yeah.
And he says that he knew that they'd come and that Prue has her mother's eyes. Phoebe, continuing to be pissy, says that he has no right to talk about their mother because he was the one that lost her. I was like, why are we even dealing with him? And she kind of walks off.
Yeah, she's very jealous of the fact that yet another person knew their mother very well.
Yeah.
And she never got the fucking chance.
Yeah. They start walking away from the water as Piper reminds her that they need to know what he knows about the demon and tries to get the conversation back onto that. And we get a little bit of exposition from Sam where we learn that the creature sometimes takes over the victim's body to lure in another victim, but not always, and again tries to get them to leave and forget everything that's happened. Prue says that they can't just walk away from all this, and he finally gives them a little bit more truth, saying to Phoebe, who's facing away from him, that they're not strong enough or well-versed enough in their powers to take this thing on.
And how would he fucking know?
Well, because he's apparently been keeping tabs on them.
Well, I mean, granted, he probably would have been aware. Well, he definitely would have been aware that their powers are bound.
Mm.
He most likely would have been aware that Penny never unbound them. But goodness knows, he probably, being a hermit up at this fucking summer camp in December, would... I don't know that he would have been aware that Graham's died and that they would have come into their powers, so...
Well, see, I don't know.
Does he have a car? I don't know.
I don't know, but there's a lot of things...
How does he afford food? I don't know. Has he managed to con this camp owner into feeding him? Mabesies.
Possibly.
She already lets him stay there, even though he came when the drowning started and never left.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that is odd about this. Like, why is summer camp happening in December? There's a lot of things that we don't get. Anyway, he tells Piper that she has the power to freeze, just like her mother, but that didn't work for Mom very well. And then he tells Prue that she'll let her emotions get in the way, lose focus, and die. Way to be a downer there.
Yeah, that's exactly the motivation you need, Sam.
Yep. Prue says that they're not leaving, and she calls her strong and willful, just like her mother. She, of course, then angrily says she is nothing like her mother, but he reminds her that they're there, just like she was. Yeah. Prue says...
It only takes one circumstantial coincidence to make it exactly the same situation, right?
Oh, totally. Absolutely. Prue says that they'll actually be able to beat this demon, and that he can either get on board or get the hell out of the way. And as they start to walk away, Sam seems to concede because, they have the power of 3, but he says that they're going to need his help. So Phoebe asks how they kill it.
He says, you don't, and then blows some glittery magical dust at them, tells them to go home and go directly to bed, and when they wake up, they won't remember anything about the lake, the demon, or him. Yep. They're confused, and then we go to an exterior shot of the manor the next morning.
Yep, because why wouldn't we? And we get to see the lovely street lamp outside. Because that was a lovely little shot we got. Piper walks out of her room scratching her stomach. She is wearing a gray cami top with no bra.
And we get a rare...
nipples at attention.
Yeah, a rare Piper nip sitch.
Yeah, and she has paired this gray cami with blue and white striped pajama pants with a little red K on the hip.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the thing I noticed.
Yeah.
Prue then comes into view. She is wearing a white cami with a bra.
What?
Yeah, and silk pajama shorts that have a red flower pattern on them, and she still has the diamond necklace on. Mm-hmm. And she mentions that she feels like she's lost a day. Went to sleep, woke up, it's Thursday. And she knocks on Phoebe's door. Phoebe answers it, holding a towel to her head, wearing a pajama shirt that has, a celestial scene going on with, stars and moons and planets. But there's also sandwich cookies.
And it kind of looks like there's fried eggs. That's what
fried
the photo...
Eggs?
That's what the photo kind of looked to me like. Oh, okay, so the sandwich cookie is on plates. That's what looked like eggs to me. Weird.
Yeah.
It would behoove the listeners to know that this same pajama outfit was seen on Rory Gilmore in season 1 of Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, it's kind of stars and moons and planets, but the things that look like planets look like they might be cookies dunked in milk.
Yeah.
It was cute, but it's a little hard to decipher. But yeah, it was... Rory apparently
it's very
had that
appropriate for Rory to have, certainly.
Yeah.
Which means that Lorelai probably bought it.
Possibly. It was possibly Lorelai's.
Yeah.
But we are not a Gilmore Girls podcast.
No, we are not.
We are not. If we ever do a Gilmore Girls podcast, somebody else would have to edit it because I would not be able to deal.
No.
Anyway. Phoebe says that she doesn't feel well. Prue sees Piper scratching her arms, and Phoebe says that Piper looks like Prue did when she got poison ivy. But Piper's like...
Prue got poison ivy at camp.
Yeah, and she starts to say something else, but the doorbell rings, so she kind of trails off. Now, according to the Goof section on IMDb, poison ivy doesn't grow in California.
Oh, no.
But poison oak does.
Oh.
So, I will, of course, put links to all of the wiki pages that I looked up for poison ivy, poison oak, in case anyone wants to read more about them.
These are of the genus Toxicodendron.
Yes, we have...
And we have 4 varieties. Eastern poison ivy.
Which is the most common poison ivy known.
Which is Toxicodendron radicans. Mm-hmm. Western poison ivy, Toxicodendron rydbergii.
Yeah.
And Pacific poison oak, or Western poison oak, Toxicodendron diversilobum.
Yep.
And Atlantic poison oak, the eastern varietal, Toxicodendron pubescens?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't name them. Like I said, I'll put the links to those on the website, but I kind of want to tangent just a little bit on the disambiguation for poison ivy. So most people, when not thinking of the plant, think, of course, of the DC comic book character when they hear poison ivy. So I'll put a link to that, but I'm not going to tangent on it.
Yes, dating Harley Quinn.
Yeah, because there are more uncommon disambiguations that I would like to mention. Mm-hmm. So, there are 7 different songs titled Poison Ivy, including one from 2009 by the Jonas Brothers, apparently. And there is a musician named Christy Marlena Wallace who uses Poison Ivy or Poison Ivy Rorschach as her stage name.
Rorschach, but yeah.
Sure. She co-founded the American rockabilly band The Cramps in 1976 with her husband, Eric Lee Perkheiser, who goes by the stage name Lux Interior. L-U-X. Lux Interior.
Okay.
Yeah. The band ended in 2009 when Lux Interior died at the age of 62 from aortic dissection, which is how my grandfather died, I do believe.
Is that where the aorta just fucking bursts?
Yeah, it's like the part that pumps into your heart is no longer connected.
Oh.
Kind of. Yeah,
sounds like more like disassociation. Because dissection, usually you go in and you cut up shit. Well, that's what I think of when I hear dissection.
It gets detached.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. You basically die from internal bleeding because your heart is no longer pumping back into your heart. It's just pumping into the rest of your body.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's not fun. Anyway, there is a film from 1953.
La Mome Verdigris.
Sure. Which is French for the grayish-green dame, which I just think is the coolest way of saying that.
Yeah.
Which was released under the name Poison Ivy in the U.S. It is a crime film based on the 1937 novel by Peter Cheney.
Yeah.
Peter Cheney was born in London in February of 1896 and died in June of 1951 at the age of 55 after having fallen into a coma.
Mm-hmm.
So he never got to see his novel made into a movie.
Oh, darn.
It's kind of sad. He was married 3 times. In 1919, he married the stage actress Dorma Lee. In 1934, he married Kathleen Nora Walter Taberer. That's a mouthful.
And in 1948, he downgraded to 3 named Loretta Singer Groves.
Yes, but he had no children with any of them. So, there's that. Now, Poison Ivy was the second book in his 10-book series from the Lemmy Caution series, which I just think is hilarious.
Let me caution you.
Yeah, exactly. It's Lemmy, L-E-M-M-Y. Lemmy Caution series, which had such titles as This Man is Dangerous, and then Poison Ivy, and then Dames Don't Care.
Can ladies kill? Don't get me wrong. You'd be surprised. Your deal, my lovely. Never a dull moment. You can always duck. I'll say she does.
Yeah. Now, This Man is Dangerous, Poison Ivy, Dames Don't Care, Don't Get Me Wrong, and Your Deal, My Lovely were all made into movies in France after his death.
Of course.
Because why not? The first set of short stories that he made in 1937 was titled
You Can't Hit a Woman.
Yeah. You Can't Hit a Woman. Why is that a title? Whatever. But the best part about our lovely Peter Cheney is his birth name, which is so unabashedly British.
Mm-hmm.
Reginald Evelyn Peter Southouse Cheney.
It might be Southus.
Sure.
I don't know. The British pronounce shit weirdly.
Yes.
Like Leicester?
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Worcestershire. Worcestershire.
Yeah, Worcestershire.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's actually a way that they could determine who was a German spy in World War II. They tried to make them say the names of these stupid little towns. If they couldn't say Leicester upon seeing it, chances are they weren't raised in England.
Yes. But yes, his name was Reginald Evelyn Peter.
Yes.
Because there you go. Anyway, other movies with the title Poison Ivy. There was a made-for-TV movie in 1985 starring Michael J. Fox that came out just before he hit it big with the Back to the Future and Teen Wolf movies. Thank you, Blue. It's about a summer camp in Maine where he plays a camp counselor who falls in love with the camp nurse, and he spends the entire summer trying to get her to leave her fiancé for him. Yeah, the nurse is played by Nancy McCone, who played Jo on The Facts of Life back in the early 1980s. And Adam Baldwin from Firefly and Chuck is also in it. I won't spoil it for you, as I didn't read how it ends, but if you want to spoil it for yourself, I will put a link to the wiki on the website. Then there is the 1992 drama/thriller starring Drew Barrymore as Ivy and Sarah Gilbert as Sylvie.
Okay.
Again, no spoilers as I couldn't be bothered to read how it ended, but I do remember the cover from it and its 3 sequels from my Blockbuster days. The sequels were Poison Ivy 2, Lily. Alyssa Milano starred in that one. The third one was Poison Ivy, The New Seduction, which starred Jamie Presley from My Name is Earl fame. And Poison Ivy, The Secret Society, which starred Miriam McDonald, whoever that is. Apparently she was on Degrassi The Next Generation, which is some Canadian show that I've never seen. Links to all of those on the website, of course. So, back to the show, we cut downstairs as Piper answers the door to Dan, who is wearing a peach-colored shirt. And he is standing there holding a tray with bowls of cereal on it and, like, an entire jar of orange juice.
Mm-hmm. A very nice large jar.
Yes. It made me really want orange juice. Orange juice.
Yeah. Piper is confused, which he quickly picks up on. He also picks up on the fact that she is scratching her arm, which looks to be poison oaked the fuck up.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're probably contagious.
He then reminds her that they had breakfast plans, which she has forgotten, and asks if there's anything that he can do.
And then Leo, tactful as ever, orbs in behind the fucking door.
Yeah.
And now, dear listener, you will undoubtedly know if you are a watcher of said show that orbing involves some light.
Yeah.
It is a rather phosphorescent activity.
Yep.
And even in bright daylight, definitely is quite noticeable.
Yep. Unfortunately, they decided that it wasn't going to be noticeable in this particular moment.
Yeah.
You know, a la convenience as you do. Mm-hmm. So, Leo orbs in. He is wearing a dark blue shirt under a blue plaid shirt and light bluish pants. He's just in a blue mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piper he did get told off by Piper yesterday.
Indeed. Piper tells Dan to hold that thought before freezing him and closing the door.
She's finally learned how to deal with these situations.
Yeah.
I'm a little proud.
And I think it's very interesting, though, because as she closes the door, we can see the shadow of the orange juice bottle that's on the tray that Dan is holding outside. Like, you can see the shadow of it through the door. And it's kind of moving a little bit, so he's not standing perfectly still, even though he's supposed to be frozen. It was very funny.
Yeah.
It was very, very funny. Exactly, Blue.
Mm-hmm. Leo, very annoyingly, asks why she's there. So she says, I live here.
Yeah. And, like, why are you here?
And then she's like, are you checking up on me and Dan? And he's like, no, that's totally not what I'm doing. Which it's actually not, but he's still like,
Yeah, it's like, it has nothing to do with him. Why are you not at the lake? And just then, Prue and Phoebe come in, asking what lake he's talking about. And he's like, nobody shut down the camp, so the kids are on their way. Which is, again, where I'm like, why is camp open in December?
Because it's San Francisco and they have weird seasons?
Yeah, but you'd think that even in San Francisco in December,
well,
there wouldn't be summer camp.
The whole Atlantic current shit.
Yeah,
messes
but it's
with it, and sometimes winter is warmer
summer
than summer,
camp.
I guess.
So, if anyone's out there in California listening, do you have winter camp? Is that a thing that you have? Because
if it's warm enough. I mean, I was just in Los Angeles in March, and it was pretty fucking warm.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
It's supposed to be summer camp, but it's December, so like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But Prue and Piper and Phoebe are all very confused and doing a very good job of it. Mm-hmm. And then Leo's like, oh no, Sam used a powder on you. Sort of like a supernatural Mickey.
Yeah. And then mentioning the supernatural Mickey somehow seems to break at least Prue out of the spell of it a little bit. Thank you, Blue. And he reminds them about the lake and the kids and the demon and Sam. And then Piper's like, oh crap, Dan is still frozen outside.
Yeah.
Give me a mo. So she tells her sisters to scoot.
And she does a little hand motion.
Yeah, and they go into the living room. Leo stays standing behind the door.
So Piper opens up the door and unfreezes Dan, proving that she knows which order to do these things in now.
Mm-hmm. She tells him that she knows that they were supposed to have these plans, but she's not feeling up to it.
And she does this, like, very pathetic little lean against the door. It's uber cute.
Yeah, it was super adorable.
Very, very sympathetic. Like, it's obvious, you know, she can pull on some of them heartstrings.
Yeah, a little bit. So he tries to save the date by saying that he'll cook while she scratches, but she says that there's also...
No, that's not what you're supposed to do with poison ivy.
Yeah, no.
There's calamine lotion, baby.
Yes, we'll get there in a minute. But she says that there's also family stuff going on, so he lets it drop. And she's like, you know, I'd kiss you, but contagious, you know, all that sort of thing. And he says that he's glad she can tell him things, which gets
She didn't tell him much.
Well, but it gets a quick insert of Leo's jealousy face behind the door. Piper tells Dan that she feels like she can tell him anything, and then after another quick jealous shot of Leo, Dan leaves, and Piper closes the door. And continues the sentence with, except that there's a demon. Leo, of course, then chimes in that she also can't tell him that she's a witch, and she kind of gives him a bit of a death stare.
A well-warranted one.
Yeah, and he starts to apologize, but she knows that it was the truth and drops it, just as Prue and Phoebe come back in. Phoebe's like, you know, we should get dressed, and Prue says that Piper should go back to bed and starts to direct her by her hair. Like, grabs her hair... And Phoebe is walking behind, like, shaking the towel at her head. It was adorable.
Which, like, okay, having poison oak or whatever, you don't need to go to bed. You just need to put on some lotion.
Well, but I think it was more of a, like, you're not coming with us because you're contagious. Like, walk away from us. So, as they get to the stairs, Prue tells Piper to look in the Book of Shadows to see if there's some mention of how to kill this thing, because if there isn't, they're screwed. Mm-hmm. And then we have a lovely little jump cut to school buses full of kids showing up at the camp, and they're all wearing dark blue Camp Skylark shirts. And we get a lovely little POV from the water, and we go to commercial break.
Because the water's a total pervert.
Well, there is that.
I mean, it doesn't care about age. It just wants to fucking drown you.
Yep. Indeed. Mm-hmm. Indeed. So when we come back from commercial break, we have a lovely little pan down from a tree to Prue and Phoebe pulling up in a black convertible. And as they get out, we get to see their outfits. Prue is in a white tank top and jean shorts that look like they're unbuttoned. And she still has that little diamond necklace. And Phoebe is now in a scoop neck light blue crop top that has a large rose pattern on it, which she has paired with red pants with a light blue lace detail at the waist and like a ribbon tie. And she's also got a couple of different necklaces and some beaded bracelets, and her hair is pulled back in some little tiny braids with tiny flowers. It was cute. Mm-hmm. But like, I legit looked at that and went, that seems a little like not a daytime look. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that hairdo especially was just like, did you really have to go through all of that for your hair?
No.
To go to camp? Like, it was just a little over the top.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. So Prue has come up with the plan to keep the kids out of the water. They decide that they're going to use the powder that Sam used on them to make them not want to go into the water until they can dehydrate the water demon. Mm-hmm. They then see kids playing near the water, which Phoebe calls prepubescent demon food, which I found hilarious. And Prue tells her to say whatever she needs to say to get them to stay out of the water while she deals with Sam, and Phoebe goes running over to them. So then we cut over to Sam's place, and we see Prue entering as we see Sam sharpening an axe, which, you know, totally not creepy at all, right?
Totally.
Just, you know, sharpening an axe. He jokes that he should have given them a stronger dose, and then we get a touching moment of Prue yelling without yelling. She wants to know why he just sat there and watched everyone die instead of protecting them. And he says that he's not one of the good guys anymore, but she disagrees because, you know, he saved her. Mm-hmm. And she reminds him that he still has white lighter instincts and that these deaths matter. Sam, of course, says that what matters most was taken away from him 20 years before, and Prue says that they have that in common. And then he says that he was waiting for her to show up so that he could stop her.
Dude.
Which...
Dude.
Yeah. But she realizes that he wants to save her because he couldn't save her mother, and then asks about the powder and how to vanquish the thing in the water, and that they're going to need his help to defeat the demon. And so he gets the powder, saying that he'll try to face his demon, but asks if she thinks she can face hers.
She's sort of done it before.
Yeah, you know. And then we cut back to the manor, because, can't stay in one place too long. We get a quick exterior shot. And in the kitchen, Leo's got his hands above the Book of Shadows, and the pages are flipping by themselves, and there's a lot of blank pages as he goes flipping through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, prop master.
Yeah. And he gives up as Piper enters carrying a basket full of clothes. She is now wearing a sleeveless pink turtleneck and black jeans.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Mm-hmm. But Leo says he can't find anything in the book, so Piper tells him he can leave, and then asks why his healing touch didn't work on her poison oak.
Yep. And he says that he can only heal when they allow him to.
Oy.
And says that maybe she's meant to be at the manor. Just then, she finds the letters that she had pulled out of the filing cabinet at Sam's place, but now they're folded the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because when she pulled them out of the filing cabinet, the words were on the outside, and now the words are on the inside. Which I think is kind of interesting. She realizes that they're letters from her mother to Sam that she must have forgotten about because of the powder, and she mentions them to Leo. And as she starts to read one out loud, they both realize that it's a love letter, and they both, look adorably awkward.
Yep.
And then we jump back over to the lake, because we can't stay with the awkwardness of the adorable. Yeah. Adorable.
And Phoebe is trying to get the kids at the lake to play some, random-ass camp games.
Yeah, again, I said...
She suggests to Red Rover it is met with booze.
Uh-huh.
As is thumbs up, 7-Up, before she tries to get them to make lanyards, and they're she's like, fuck this shit.
It was hilarious. She was so excited about lanyards. She was, I know, lanyards. She's holding these two plastic spool things.
It's worth mentioning that Phoebe has not been to camp. She never got to go to camp.
Very, very true. But so I never went to camp, so I had to look up these games because I had no idea. I'll put links to Red Rover and 7-Up.
I was the shit at Red Rover.
Yeah, it was very weird, but my thing was, I didn't understand why she was so excited about lanyards, because I have made square stitch lanyards in basically keychains, but when I was growing up, it was called Scooby-Doo.
It's funny.
Yeah, and that's actually what the Wikipedia is under, is Scooby-Doo. It's SCOUBIDOU.
So it's French.
Scooby-Doo. Yeah.
Gimp, lanyard, Scooby, spelled two different ways. Yep. Boondoggle.
Or Rex Lace. Boondoggle. Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah, originated in France.
Indeed.
Oh, it's named after the 1958 song of the same name by the French singer Sacha Distel.
There you go.
Or Distel.
Don't know. But yeah, so when I was doing it, it was Scooby-Doo. It's kind of
we always just called them lanyards.
Yeah, It's basically macrame with plastic.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is. But it was a weird thing. I didn't understand why she was so excited about it, because they're not that fun to make.
Phoebe has no idea what's fun.
Yeah, apparently not. Anyway.
But the kids, of course, are all yelling that they want to go swimming, because that's what the director told them they wanted.
Yeah. And then Prue walks in, and she gives this little finger sign and tells them to shush. She just kind of puts up two fingers shh. And they all just stop cheering instantly. And Phoebe's like, I could have done that. So that was just, it was just super cute. It was a super cute moment. Have.
No. Because you didn't.
Yeah, not so much.
And then asks Prue if she got the powder. Prue's like, ooh, I got more than that. And Sam walks in. I'm like, that's not more.
Well, it kind of is. But,
Yeah, whatever.
But Phoebe is, of course, disappointed. And it's like, you didn't have to get him. And she's like, I kind of did. And then Prue's phone rings, and after being assured that Phoebe's got things handled, she walks outside to answer it.
She answers it, thinking it's Piper, and we get the Piper, I hardly know her joke that everyone knew was going to eventually come, because guess what? It's Jack on the phone.
Yeah, he's sitting at her desk at Buckland's, and he's messing with her paper clips. He pulls them out of a little cup bowl thing.
Yeah.
And they're all chained together. It was very funny. But she says that she's in the middle of something, and he cuts her off and says that he's going to conference Mr. Fujimoto about the carousel horse.
So he puts her on hold, she freaks out, and then Mr. Fujimoto's on the phone.
Yeah. he asks if she's seen the piece, and she gets completely, like, into client mode, and is like, yes, I'm looking at it right now.
And he asks how it is, and she starts describing it very
the way she always does.
Deftly.
Yeah.
Because she has indeed seen it, and she remembers, and she's analyzed it a bit, even though it's not in front of her.
Right.
Jack cuts her off, and he says to Mr. Fujimoto that there's something he should probably know about the piece, and then he starts speaking really bad Japanese.
Yeah.
If it even is Japanese.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like Japanese, but who knows if it's at all grammatically correct.
Yeah, I tried Google Translate and couldn't get it to work, so I honestly don't know. But Fujimoto replies in Japanese, and then Jack says in English that he'll have the paperwork sent over, and he hangs up with Mr. Fujimoto. Prue then asks who he's crediting as the sales agent, and he accuses her of not trusting him.
He kind of does that, like, hand to chest thing.
Yeah.
He's like, do you not trust me?
Yeah. And she just kind of hangs up on him, which, you know, I totally get it.
So if anyone actually knows Japanese and can bother translating what the hell he said, we would love to know.
Yes, absolutely. Because Google Translate got me nothing. Yep. So back inside the little cabin, Phoebe blows the powder onto the kids and then reminds them, water bad, land good. Yeah, it was a cute little moment.
And it's very, very succinct instructions.
Yeah, very true. But she's also sending them to bed, which I thought was funny, because it was like, on your way to bed, remember, water bad, land good. To which I'm going, are none of them going to get thirsty then? Just saying. Anyway.
I mean, obviously, they probably have juice.
Yeah.
So they're all going to be like, I don't want to drink water. Water bad. I'm going to have juice.
Yes. There you go. So then we get an exterior shot of the manor, and Piper and Leo are now sitting in the wicker chairs, and they're reading the letters. Piper says that it's like she could have written them.
Well, after all, she's the one who most resembles Mom.
Mm-hmm. And Leo says that he wishes she had.
Slightly creepy. You're not in a relationship, Leo. Maybe you should hold your tongue.
Well, you know. But she, of course, wonders what it would have changed.
Nothing.
Because their lives are not exactly the way they want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
But then she finds one that talks about the water demon, and she learns that her mom told Sam not to be there because she didn't want to risk losing him, and that she thought she'd be home in time for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So
Piper's like, well, she never came home. And then wonders where their dad was?
Yeah, but Leo completely ignores that. And he says that she needs to tell her sisters about their mom and Sam, and she knows that they're going to need her help. But she's worried that they won't get there in time, and then he makes this, like, face, which reminds her that he can orb, and she wonders if it would be breaking the rules, but he's like, what rules haven't we broken? Which is kind of funny.
There's at least a few, I'm sure.
Yeah. But he says that he'll have to hold her, meaning full body contact, which is a total lie.
Yeah, total
because
lie.
We've seen him orb people just by holding their hand.
That's a bit manipulative, Leo.
Yeah, a little bit. But, you know, you can't blame him.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can be annoyed with him. You can't really blame him. Because, you know, when you love someone, you want to be close to them. And I get it.
She's not dating him. She's in a relationship with someone else, and he fucking knows this.
Very true, but you know.
And this is just the writers being little shits.
Yeah, well,
they're like, how can we ramp up all of this lovely sexual tension that we have ourselves invented?
Indeed.
Oh wait, I have an idea.
Yes. So she cuddles into his chest, lays her head on his chest, and he holds her, and then they orb out. And this is the first time that Leo orbs out with one of the sisters. Mm-hmm. We cut over to the lake via a shot of the Camp Skylark sign. Prue asks Sam how their mom was going to vanquish the demon, but he says that he doesn't know. Just as Leo and Piper appear.
Piper is, of course, dizzy from orbing and being affected by poison ivy. Oak, whatever.
Yeah, and Phoebe helps her sit down, and there's a bit of a continuity thing that happens with her arms, where sometimes her right hand is being held by Phoebe, and sometimes both of her hands are in her lap.
So clearly Phoebe's forgotten about the contagiousness.
Well, you know... Whatever. Prue asks what they're doing there, and Piper says that Sam loved their mom, and Leo tells him that they found the letters, and then we get some more exposition. Sam says that even though she told him to stay away, he went to the lake to protect Patty. And he blames himself for her death because if he hadn't fallen in love with her, he wouldn't have been there to be the distraction that got her killed. He says that he tried to warn her, and she froze him trying to protect him, so he doesn't know what happened.
And then Prue's like, well, Phoebe has visions, and she's gotten ones of the past before, and Phoebe's a little annoyed and mildly angry
that
she has to be the one to relive Mom's last moments because, you know, she never got to know Mom, and this is one of the only things she's going to be able to remember about her from now on. And apparently she's also pissed that Prue is too afraid to even think she looks like Mom.
Yeah, Prue agrees that it's not fair, but, you know, Phoebe's the only one that can help end this.
And Phoebe's, of course, like, yeah, sure, it's the right thing to do. So she walks over to Sam and grabs his hands.
Mm-hmm. And she has a lovely premonition of Patty on the dock, water bubbling in front of her, and she grabs what looks like jumper cables, which are randomly on the dock for some reason, and is reaching for the power switch as Sam comes running towards her, yelling, "Look out!" So she drops the cables and freezes him as the water demon rises up and a whole heap of water falls on top of her, and she falls onto the dock, and the premonition ends with Phoebe coughing and stuff. And now, watching the premonition, I can honestly say that yes, it was indeed Sam's fault.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Because there was no need to yell, "Look out," when she was obviously already doing something.
Mm-hmm.
If he had just not yelled, she'd have been fine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
it was definitely his fault.
Yes.
That she dropped the cables and then lost whatever. Anyway, Piper asks what Phoebe saw, and we learn that the water demon entered her and drowned her from the inside, which is not a pleasant way to go. No. They also figure out that Mom was going to use electricity against the water demon, which makes perfect sense if you know your science, because, as Piper says, electricity is the only thing that separates water particles. Which isn't completely true.
No, definitely not.
But,
That's a really, really gross oversimplification.
Yeah.
And it might be so oversimplified that it's false.
Well, but it works in this scenario.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
So Phoebe's like, oh, what would we do differently? Even knowing that the plan would have worked, they're gonna go with Mom's plan.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real way to change anything at that point because it would have worked, and therefore that's what's gonna happen. But since the power to freeze doesn't work on this demon, apparently, even though she didn't try to freeze the demon, like, at all, because she froze Sam, and by the time she turned around, it was already on top of her, so she didn't have time to freeze it. But whatever. They decide that it's going to be Prue at the end of the dock.
Sure.
Because, yeah. Anyway, personally, though, I think that there's no reason why it couldn't be Piper and Prue at the end of the dock. Piper tries to freeze the demon, and then Prue electrifies it using the power of 2, because...
Yeah, because...
Exactly, Blue. Because, like, there was no... We didn't see Patty try to use her freezing power against this demon, so I don't understand why it's like, the power to freeze doesn't work. She never tried. Nope. But whatever. We go to commercial break, and when we come back, we have a lovely sunset shot of the lake with the mountains behind it. And Piper asks if Prue is ready, and Sam tries to tell her that she doesn't have to do this.
But Prue basically is just like, no, fuck off, I'm ready.
Yeah, it's like, I do indeed have to do this. And she starts walking to the dock. And Sam says that he forgot how good this feels, meaning helping people.
Oh my god, like, could you have picked a more wrong time to say that shit?
Yeah, well, Leo then asks how it feels to be mortal, which gets a quick glance from Piper before Sam asks why he wants to know, which I thought was kind of funny as well.
And Leo never tells him.
Yeah,
so Sam pats Leo on the back, goes over to Prue, who's standing at the start of the dock.
Mm-hmm.
They walk on to face their demons together.
Yes. Prue then picks up the power cables, and Sam holds the switch ready to flip it.
And she kind of, like, taunts the water demon, like, jiggling these cables at him.
Yeah, she's kind of like, you know, come and get me, you know, that kind of thing. And the water starts bubbling in front of her. And as she says that it will never kill again, the bubbles just kind of dissipate. And then they start up on the other side of the dock, to which Piper then yells out, "Behind you," as she and Phoebe start running toward the dock. Leo, of course, then calls out after Piper, and Piper freezes him as he runs toward her, because why not? Gotta get those little parallels in, right? The water demon then rises out from the water and starts to go after Prue, who drops the cables in the confusion, and Sam runs toward our lovely CGI water demon. It was an interesting little blob of water with little blobby water arms. It was funny.
Clearly based on the human form.
Yeah.
But Sam yells at the demon to take him instead, so
it does. Yeah.
And it kind of sweeps over him like a wave and enters his body.
And he yells, "Stand back!" to everybody, and then he picks up the power cables, yells out, "Now!" and Prue uses her power to flick the switch up, which electrocutes Sam, and he falls to the ground. Now, but here's my thing. He doesn't touch the cables together, so why does it electrocute him? I'm still not completely
maybe
sure on
the
that.
power box was actually connected and he couldn't touch the ends of the cables because that would have been a safety hazard.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. Anyway, Prue goes over to him, and then Phoebe and Piper run up to them, and Leo unfreezes, and there's a little bit of a continuity error, because one moment Prue is perfectly dry, and the next her hair is all wet.
Yeah, weird.
So there must have been, like, a scene they cut out or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But Sam tells them that it's gone, and Phoebe tells Leo to do something, so Leo tries to heal Sam, but it isn't working.
Because apparently they is being petty or some shit.
Well,
okay, so I forgot to mention this earlier, but
yes.
If they control when Leo can heal shit, does that mean they noticed his powers switch to Piper in the last season?
Possibly.
And they're just like, oh, well, fuck it, she's gotta do what she gotta do, let her.
Yeah, possibly. Mm-hmm. Who knows? You know, they seem to make this shit up as they go in this show.
You don't say.
Yeah, who knows? So, Prue is confused, but Piper realizes that Leo isn't meant to heal him, and Sam says that it's okay, and of course Prue protests, but he knows that he did good.
And history won't repeat itself.
Yeah. Phoebe then gets sad, even though she's been pissy all this time, she now gets sad.
Well, she's been pissy for a very deflection-y reason. So she's not actually mad at Sam, she's just mad to be mad.
Yeah, but Sam is happy because he'll get to see Patty again.
Oh,
yeah. And then he tells Leo not to lose her, meaning Piper. And then we see Patty's spirit appear wearing a lovely little slinky dress.
Was there a shawl too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prue says, "Say hi for us," because they can't see her. And then Sam's spirit appears next to Patty.
Meaning he did.
Yes. And she touches his face, and he takes her hand, and they disappear as they walk toward the water. And we get a final water POV shot of the girls, Leo, and Sam's dead body on the dock, before we dissolve into a city shot over the water with the triangle building in the background and some boats in the foreground. With no exterior shot, we find ourselves back in Bucklands, and we see Prue turning a corner. She is now wearing black pants and the tiniest of sweaters known to exist.
It's not the tiniest sweater she's ever worn.
No, but it is a very, very tiny sweater that looks like it possibly has a hood on it or just a very large collar.
I think that's a collar.
Yeah.
Based on the edge, that looks like a corner on her shoulder.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a collar.
So it is a...
And she's gonna get collared by HR for wearing that outfit.
Apparently not, though.
Nope. We get some lovely décolletage.
Yes. It is a bright pink sweater. It has 4 buttons, but only the very bottom button is done, and it's a cropped sweater, so we have her belly button exposed, and because only the bottom button is done, we can see a purple bra peeking out of the sweater.
A purple bra that apparently actually does the job of lifting and separating, because we get to see her sternum.
Mm-hmm. And she's still wearing the diamond necklace, so, there's that. But at this point... until next episode, this has got to be the least.
I was about to say, do you think it's worse than next episode?
Yes, this is much worse than next episode. Yeah, because this also shows her belly button.
It does. However, the boobs get super pushed up next episode.
Yeah,
like it's a fucking corset.
But that's not nearly as.
I'd say next episode is a little more evocative, a little more erotic of an outfit.
Yeah,
sure, this reveals more.
Yeah. Neither of them are work appropriate in any fashion.
Oh, certainly not, unless where you work is a strip club.
Or a brothel.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you're a bartender and, wearing the nice outfits, get to see the nice tips.
Yeah. But
just the tips.
Anyway.
She goes into her office. Jack is once again sitting at her desk.
Mm-hmm. This time he's got a black jacket over a gray button-down shirt, which I think is the same shirt he was wearing before.
Do we see his lower half, or do we just assume it's there?
We just assume it's there at this point. This time, though, Prue gets to do exposition time. She tells him that she's worked for Bucklands for 1.5 years and has survived takeovers, near bankruptcy, and superiors from hell who have tried to kill her. And so nothing will surprise her.
And of course, he takes that last statement to be metaphorical instead of the literality it is.
Yes, indeed.
Have I just made up literality as a word? I don't care.
Possibly, but it doesn't matter. It works in this instance. Jack tells her that he just needs her signature on the confirmation sheet for the Fujimoto sale, and he shows her a sheet of paper which he has already signed.
Prue's naturally going back on the last couple words of her sentence, because guess what? She's surprised that he has listed her as the sales agent.
But he does say that it was her deal.
And indeed it was.
Yeah.
And she is again surprised, proving herself wrong.
Indeed. She's surprised because he covered for her.
And asks him out to dinner as a thank you.
Yeah. But he jokes that it would be breaking one of her rules of etiquette.
And she does a complete 180 on her previous rules. And she's like, mixing business with pleasure can have its very nasty consequences, but it also can bear some fruitful rewards.
Yeah. And then we get one of the moments where I was just like, I know they're trying to make them romantically involved, and I hate it immensely.
Yes. Jack's asks, is it nasty or fruitful? And she's like, that depends on how you do at dinner.
Yeah. It's like wannabe sexual tension. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of stuck in it for a moment before we cut over to an exterior shot of the manor. And in the living room, Phoebe is sitting on the floor between a chair and the coffee table, sticking Patty's letters into a photo album. She's got like tape all over her fingers.
It's cute.
It was adorable. We don't see her lower half because she's sitting on the floor, but she's wearing a spaghetti strap top with daisies all over it. It was like a black shirt with like white daisies all over. And her hair is pulled up into two little pigtails and decorated with white flowers. And it was a cute little outfit. Piper is sitting on the couch putting calamine lotion on her poison ivy. And she is now in a gray skirt and blue shirt with red seams. This is an interesting looking outfit. And Phoebe thinks of the letters now as some sort of like consolation prize. Because, even though she doesn't know a lot about her mom, she at least now has these letters. Mm-hmm. And Piper thinks that it's a great idea to keep the letters and turn them into like a journal. And then we see Leo orbing into the kitchen, but we aren't actually shown anything other than a bright light appearing on the wall.
Because, orbing is a very visual activity done by white lighters.
Yes, indeed. And it was a lovely way of not having to do the CGI of all of the orbs. We'll just, project a white light onto the wall and then, you know. But so he comes out from behind the wall where Piper can see him, but Phoebe can't. And he is now wearing a sweater that is like dark tan on the shoulders and across the top of the chest with like a white tan line at the breast line and like black everywhere else. Mm-hmm. And I think he was wearing black pants with that.
He kind of gestures to Piper with his head to get over there. And she asks if Phoebe wants some tea.
Yeah,
as a quick cover.
Like the most awkward way ever. She goes, tea, would you like some? Like, as she's putting down the calamine lotion. It was adorably awkward. And so she quickly gets up, quickly gets up and heads toward the kitchen. And in the kitchen, she grabs the kettle that is sitting on the end of the counter on top of, like, the wooden cutting board and just puts it on the stove. Leo's like, I don't want to interrupt. And she has one of my favorite lines. She goes, I think I can steep and talk at the same time. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because she isn't steeping at this point. She's boiling water.
Yeah.
But whatever. She asks if he wants any, and she turns the burner on. He shakes his head. But I want to know why they have a kettle full of water just sitting on the counter. Because she didn't fill it up before she put it on the stove, so it had to have been full already.
I mean, I would.
Just randomly just have a kettle of water sitting out?
Well, maybe I didn't use all the water from the last time.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. But whatever. Leo says that the whole situation between their mom and Sam was like the situation that he and Piper have, and that he loves her, but she reminds him about Dan. And he's like, yeah, but can you tell him the truth? She reminds him that they agreed to try and put their jobs first. So he's like, Patty and Sam tried to do that, and it ended badly for them. So she wants to know if he's leaving for good this time. But he's like, I don't know, but I can't keep working with you because I can't stop loving you. And they both are like, if they can't do their job because they love each other, and they sound like they're trying to convince themselves of it all.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, I can't do my job if I'm with you, and it was weird.
Come on, dude.
Yeah. But Piper's like, I don't know how to say goodbye. So he's like, don't. And then he orbs out because...
He cuts and orbs.
Yeah.
And then the Sarah McLachlan plays as Piper tries not to cry.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's not the one you see with all of the pet commercials.
No, thank goodness. There's a song called I Love You, which was playing on the DVD. Now, I listened to the song that Netflix had because I wanted to hear... I knew it wasn't going to be the Sarah McLachlan. But both Shazam and Soundhound failed me.
How does the internet not have a record of this? The internet has everything.
Yeah, don't know. Internet has forsaken us.
Internet has forsaken us. Oh my god. There's got to be, like, some dude in some CD shop we could sing this to.
Yeah, no.
No. Damn it.
We got nothing.
Damn, that's so strange.
But yeah, so both Shazam and Soundhound failed me.
The internet at large has failed us.
The internet at large has failed us.
This is insane.
For what the Netflix song is.
Dude.
Yeah. So if anybody out there...
I feel like it's a fairly familiar voice.
Like, it sounds really nice, too.
Well, no, not just that. The person singing it sounds familiar.
A little bit.
Okay. How's about this, listeners? A challenge we issue to you. Can you recognize the singer in this song that is on Netflix? Because we sure as fucking hell can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you happen to know, if you can figure it out, please let us know.
Because it's going to bother me for a real long time.
Yeah.
Especially since the internet has no idea.
Yeah.
How does the internet have no idea?
I don't know. Don't know at all.
Did Edward Snowden scrub the lyrics of this one particular song? What purpose would that have? Was it some hacker's, like, initiation rite? To completely remove one thing from the internet? Proving that it can, in fact, be done? I have no idea.
Don't know.
But y'all can find out, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say let's crowdfund this, but it's neither funding nor a crowd.
No, it's more hive-minding.
I wouldn't say we have enough people to call a hive.
Hey.
We have a cabal.
Yeah.
If anything, we have a cabal. We have enough for a cabal. Maybe a coven.
Yes, we have a coven.
We have a coven.
Yep. Anyway.
Let's Coventry Carol this shit.
Anyway, let's end the show, shall we? Let's finish up the episode. So, yeah. So, we have no idea what the song is on Netflix. But as the song is playing, it wasn't like a bad song either. Like, it was very melodic and very nice. But as the song is playing, there is a knock on the back door. Piper opens it to Dan,
She remembers to turn off the stove.
She does indeed. She opens the door to Dan, who is now wearing a red plaid shirt and is holding a tray that has 2 bowls of cereal on it and 3 bottles of calamine lotion.
And I find it very funny that, once again, we are proven that their back door is actually unlocked. He is standing in the laundry room at the back door to the kitchen.
Yes, indeed.
And Piper's like, why are you at the back door? And he's like, well, I never seem to get in through the front door. Yeah. Insert whatever euphemism you like here.
Yeah.
Because he's already through the first gate and approaching the second.
Yeah, well, you know.
He's approaching the involuntary sphincter.
Anyway, he asks if she's hungry and then notices that she looks sad and asks if she's okay. And she says that she's fine, and he reminds her that she can tell him, but she just says that she's not very hungry.
He's like, give it a try, and then pops a Fruit Loop in his mouth.
Yeah. She says okay, and then she walks out with him.
Which completely defeats the purpose that he brought breakfast to her.
Well, but so she walks out with him, and she closes the door, glancing back at the kitchen before leaving, and we go to the end credits. So she leaves without telling anyone where she's going, and Phoebe thinks that she's just in the kitchen making tea. This ending has horror movie beginning written all over it.
Yes, but that would be a different soundtrack. Also,
very true.
It is clearly not a beginning.
No, but it was just very funny that, like, that was my first thought. I was like, wait, you're leaving the house without telling anyone where you're going. This seems bad somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, whatever. So, yeah, we're at the end credits.
Indeed.
So this episode, we set up for things in the future that may or may not have been known that they were going to need, but we can't really talk about those things without giving spoilers. So we will talk about the things that were set up in this episode when they actually happen in a couple years from now.
Yeah.
When we get there.
Couple seasons.
Yeah.
Or so.
But so with the episode over, that means we are on to our ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a rating in mind?
Yes, I just thought it up.
All right. Go for it.
Even though I had a month, I didn't fucking do my job.
No, you never do. It's okay.
And honestly, y'all never would have known if I hadn't mentioned it now.
Yeah, you know.
I'm gonna go with 7.5 out of 10 bottles of calamine lotion.
All right. I like it.
Why did he bring 3? She's tiny. Her arms can't cover that much.
And I am giving it an 8 out of 10. Beautiful backstory and future setup. Now that our ratings are out of the way, we are on to outfits.
Oh, definitely Phoebe's pajamas.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just because they were in Gilmore Girls, they're also fucking adorable pajamas.
They are actually kind of cute. But it's really funny, though, because I could have sworn when she was upstairs in the bedroom that she was wearing, like, a pajama set, like the shirt and the pants. Mm-hmm. But when she was downstairs, she only had the shirt on.
That's fine. We know the pants exist.
Yeah. So there's just a little tidbit there. For me, as work inappropriate as it was, I actually really kind of liked the little sweater crop top and black pants that Prue wore at the end.
It was okay. I was more a fan of her halter top from the beginning.
See, I've never been a fan of the halter.
Well, not on me, certainly, but I liked it on her.
I just don't like it as a style. I've never been a fan of it as a style. I don't know. For Piper, I'm not really a fan of pink, but I liked the sleeveless turtleneck outfit that she had. Mm-hmm. And for Phoebe, even though we didn't see the bottom half of the outfit, I really kind of enjoyed the little daisy shirt that she was wearing at the end. So, with our ratings done and our outfits talked about, we are on to social media time. Because we have reached the end of the episode.
Yes, indeed.
So, as per usual, you can find all of our content, links to all sorts of random stuff, and eventually, I promise, the pictures will be up at charmchats.com.
And certainly, goodness knows, we're always putting stuff on our Instagram, which is charmchats.
Yep. We have Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon are all found under Charmed Chats. Twitter and Tumblr are under Charmed Chats Pod, because I still can't get that to be different, but, you know, whatever. And we would like to give a lovely little shout-out to our newest Patreon patron, Amanda Moon.
Blue is not interested in howling with us.
No,
sadly.
But that's okay. She is our newest Patreon patron, and we would like to thank her very, very much for her generous donation. We also got a $10 pledge with no reward, which is kind of awesome, and we would like to thank that person. They did not want to be thanked by name, so we will just call them T.
Thanks, T.
So thanks, T. We really, really appreciate the lovely pledge.
That there is some sweet tea.
Yes, indeed. But, yeah. And as per always, you can email us at charmchats@gmail.com.
Indeed.
And if you would be so kind, if you listen to this on iTunes, which I know a lot of you do, if you could give us a rating and a review on iTunes. That way more people will be able to find us.
Oh, yes, that would
be
great.
Awesome. But I think that's us done for another episode.
Yes, I think it is.
Indeed, indeed.
A fairly short episode, because we're getting more efficient with these things.
Indeed. Which I am always grateful for, because it means editing doesn't take me 20 hours.
That's fair.
Yeah. You'd think 2-hour podcast shouldn't take that long to edit, but you know...
Well, you're you.
I am me, and I'm very particular about my editing style.
And Blue has been a very good boy this episode.
Yes, he has.
Have you been a good boy, Blue? You a good boy?
He has.
Mwah.
Indeed. So until next time.
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite. Or the water demons drown you, because that sucks.
Indeed. Not a good way to go.
No.
Bye!
Bye!
Phoebe, Piper, and Prue, they've got evil to slay and some potions to brew. So we'll see where it's at this week with Kendra and Kat on Charm Chats.
Water bad, land good.